No, we're live.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah. This is a very wonderful effort, this effort to discuss the autobiography of Malcolm X. His birthday was just a few weeks ago. And tonight, alhamdulillah, we're going to cover chapter 18. I commend IGNA, I thank IGNA for this invitation, asking me to be part of this wonderful effort. Tonight we're discussing 18. 18 is a pivotal chapter. This chapter is when Malcolm X goes on Hajj. And it's transformative. He goes on Hajj, he sees something he does not expect. So it's very pivotal, very transformative. First of all, he starts out saying that he's a guest of the Prince of Saudi Arabia, the ruler of Saudi Arabia, Prince Faisal of Saudi Arabia. He's provided a car, a chauffeur, interpreter, and a guide. When he gets to Mecca, there are newspapers over there showing pictures of him and Muhammad Ali. And initially, a few people think that he's Ali. He goes to Mecca and he's taken on this guided tour of all the sacred historic sites of Mecca. And he makes some observations, some very interesting observations. One, he says that the moral strength of a nation is reflected in how women dress publicly. I think that's interesting. Secondly, he says that on Hajj, he sees a lot of people smoking during the performance of the rites. And I know he's all about that because he's coming out of Nation Islam, where in the Nation Islam, smoking was a sin. So he gets over there, he sees these Muslims smoking. You know, so I remember the first time I went on Hajj 20-something years ago. I was in Mina, outside a marketplace, walking out there was a young boy. He looked to be no more than 12, 13 years old. He's smoking cigarettes. And I questioned him about that. I never forget his answer. He told me, he said, American. It's good. It's American. That was his answer. So alhamdulillah, in Medina, Mecca, you don't see any of that now. You don't smoke in those areas now. So he makes point that he see a lot of people smoking over there. You know? And on his trip to Mecca, to the holy sites, to the holy city of Mecca and Medina, he learns to do his prayers in Arabic, he says. He first started doing his prayers in Arabic. Yeah. He prays that he gets a chance to meet the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, Faisal. And alhamdulillah, he's granted his desire, his prayer, his answer. He gets a chance to meet with him. And one of the things that he's told that by Crown Prince Faisal, he said that he had read about the Black Muslims and that they held the Roman Islam. Malcolm is so impressed with what's going on over there. You know, Malcolm was a natural organizer, a natural activist, naturally. He sees how if the world is made aware, can see Hajj and see what goes on there, all the different colors, different nationalities come together, that it would convert millions of people to Islam, especially in America. They could see what was going on there, all these different colors coming together. In the early 1960s, would convert millions of people. His mind started clicking. It reminds me when he first got out of prison in 1952, he goes to the temple, the Nation Islam temple, before it became mosque. And immediately he sees how he can increase the attendance there. And not only increase attendance in Detroit, but he increased attendance all over the United States. So he's a natural visionary and a natural organizer and a natural activist. So his mind is clicking when he goes on hard. He said, oh my God, he said, the world could see this. The United States could see these people come together and the great spirituality of this, all these different races. It'll convert millions and millions of people. I believe that may be one of the reasons higher ups in this country didn't like the fact that Malcolm had become a mainstream Muslim. This is okay when he was a Nation Islam Muslim. so-called Muslim. When he became mainstream Muslim, I think people got concerned. But anyway, it's transformative over there. Very transformative over there. I think it's interesting what he said about the holy city, about Mecca and Medina. It shows you how transformed he was, the impact it had on him. He said this. He said that he left part of himself in the holy city. And he took part of the holy city with him, and it would be with him forever. That's indicative of the Hajj, his Hajj being accepted, because it transformed him, made him a better person, a different person. He left part of himself. He discarded some of himself, shared some of himself in the holy city, then took part of the holy city with him and would remain with him forever. Within a year, he was gone. He was deceased. He had been assassinated within a year after he made that statement. This is in April of 1964, April that year. So in Hajj, he gets a chance to see a lot of different people. He's so impressed with the fact that, unlike America, we have stark, raw racism and segregation, Jim Crowism, based on racial division, racial hate in America. So it was raw then. He goes over there, he sees Muslim with white skin, blue eyes, black skin, brown skin, all different kinds of people, racial types over there. Black, white, blue-eyed people, all mingling together, walking together, eating together, sleeping together. And there are no segregation signs over there. There's no signs of segregation. So he's really impacted by this. This is when he writes his letter about his experiences on Hajj, on the pilgrimage in Mecca. But he's so impressed with this, and it transforms him. He says that he will no longer indict a whole race of people. He made a point on Hajj that he would stop doing that, indicting all white people, broad brushing all white people. Hajj was an experience that stayed with him to the very end of his life. And alhamdulillah. So he was in Mecca in April of 1964. He got a chance to travel the world. He left Mecca and he went to Lebanon. He left Lebanon and went to Ghana, and he went to Nigeria. He went to Algeria, and to Morocco. He says this in this chapter. He says that any Black leader in America should travel internationally to broaden the scope. And plus, they will see that the problems that's faced here in America are not just domestic, not just here in America. There's a racial construct, worldwide racial construct to problems faced by the 22 million, at that time, 22 million Black people in America. He said that they will see that global construct, and they relate to other oppressed people in the world. I think they're so telling, especially today, because he saw the problem we had. He saw the relationship with the Palestinians and people in Palestine, people all over the world. He saw it as the same. They had different names. We call it white supremacy here. It's called European imperialism, Zionism, all the same thing. He saw that. So he was saying that if more Black Americans could travel internationally, they would see the global construct of the problems faced here in the United States. I think that was interesting. Plus, he gets a chance to talk to so many world leaders. He talks to a lot of the ambassadors from all over the world, when he's in Nigeria, he does press conference, and he's given a Nigerian name, Yoruba name, and so he really loves it. He gets a chance to mingle and mix with the people there. He leaves Nigeria and goes to Ghana, And Ghana, to him, epitomizes Pan-Africanism. Pan-African. He sees a lot of African Americans and blacks that had moved to Ghana back in the early 1960s. W. Du Bois family was there. A lot of blacks moved there. Even today, I know African Americans that moved to Ghana. So he makes note of this. They participate in the economy over there and other leadership positions over there. That African Americans have gone over there and was living there. So he sees that Ghana is the epitome of Pan-Africanism. So there's a committee that's formed in Ghana by the people there in Ghana, the Malcolm X committee. What they do, they take him to different venues, dinners, lecture halls, press conferences, meeting different ambassadors. He met ambassadors from all over the world. He met Prime Minister Nkrumah of Ghana at the time. He met leaders from all over the world. He's convinced that, because these leaders he met supported the plight of blacks in America, he's convinced that that instead of begging, in his words, begging for civil rights in America, that blacks in America should be pursuing human rights, that we had a case for the UN. We could take the United States to the UN, the United States sanctioned by the UN because of racial abuses and oppression here in America. He's convinced of this. Because all the support he gets from these world leaders, that our case should be taken to the UN. I think that's very interesting. No one was talking like this at that time. No leader, black leader in America ever talked like that at that time or since. So in Ghana, he gets a chance to meet different people. He's very impressed with the students over there, impressed with all the different leaders that he met, different ambassadors that he met. He does a press conference over there, one of many press conferences over there. Something very interesting happened. He used the word Negro, which is a word that's coined by white supremacists. It has nothing to do with Africa at all, African American historically at all. And he, at this press conference, he's corrected. He's told that word is not favorable over here in Africa. We prefer Afro-Americans. So he stopped using that word. But the Nation of Islam had already transitioned from that word anyway. The Nation of Islam used the phrase so-called Negro, the black man and the so-called Negro. So while he's in Ghana, he sees a lot of Caucasians over there, a lot of whites over there. And he's incensed by this because they're smiling, they're grinning with the Africans, and he knew that they didn't have that kind of relationship with blacks in the Western world or in America. So he's very incensed with this. And at times, a lot of the Caucasians, a lot of the whites he saw, they would come to some of the lectures that he gave in Ghana and press conferences that he did in Ghana, and he would really let them have it. He would tell them that the only reason they're over there, the only reason they're smiling and grinning and faces and pretending to like the Africans, not because they respected them as human beings, but they were only interested in the mineral wealth of Africa. So he made that known several times there while he was there in Africa. He said that the whites were so bodacious that they were even around the Africans, when having dinner at different restaurants and hotels. They talk about the mineral wealth of Africa and what they could do to engage the Africans so they could benefit from the mineral wealth of Africa. He said they would talk about Africa as if the Africans didn't have eaters. Very interesting. Another interesting note, during the 1960s, the early 1960s, when there was raw racism, segregation, and hate in America, of black people, like predominantly ethnic group American, Caucasians, racial group American. In Africa, when whites was a minority and visiting Africa, there was no such thing. The Africans didn't hate on them the way the whites in America hated on blacks. When the whites was in Africa as a minority, the African didn't hate on them, treated them with respect. With respect. I think that's interesting. So he stays in Ghana for several weeks, and when he departs Ghana, he's at the airport, and he sees Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is very uncomfortable because Muhammad Ali was still in the Nation of Islam, whereas Malcolm had been excommunicated, suspended from the nation. So Muhammad Ali didn't talk to him very much because if you've been excommunicated by the nation, those are still a nation, not going to have anything to do with you. But Muhammad Ali does speak, so they exchange greetings, they do speak to each other. He says later on, he sends Muhammad Ali a telegraph, a wire, telling him that he's loved by Muslims all over the world. He's seen it firsthand and heard it firsthand. He says that he hoped, he tells Ali that hope you don't let anyone take advantage of you and misuse you. He sends him that wire. So he leaves Ghana, he goes to Algeria, and he goes to Morocco, and he meets leaders of those countries, he meets ambassadors. He's treated like the head of state, like he's not just Malcolm X, a person, but he's representing a nation. He's representing all the African American people in America. He's treated like a head of state there. So in May of that year, he comes back to America. May 19th, his birthday, he's 39 years old. He makes an interesting statement. He says that he's 39 years old. He said he's lived and experiences more than a dozen men his age. He had. A year later, he's gone. So he comes back to America, and when he gets back to New York, there's a press conference there. There's a lot of reporters there, and he's surrounded by them. They're asking questions about a group here in America called the Blood Brothers. And he had nothing to do with it. They're trying to somehow connect him with that group. He had nothing to do with that group. But he's also asked about the letter he wrote from Mecca when he was on Hajj, embracing brotherhood of all races. And Malcolm was able to differentiate between the racial climate in America, the landscape in America, and his desire, his love for the brotherhood that he saw when he was on Hajj that exists in Islam. You know, he was not going to indict all white people. Go ahead, move away from that. You know, but he was still going to struggle against the oppression of Black people in America. And the fact that he believed in the brotherhood of all mankind, and at the same time addressing white supremacy in America, those two claims were not competitive claims. He was able to do both of them. So he made that clear. So I know we have people online on this Zoom call, so we're gonna go ahead and conclude. And I know I left out things, so we'll discuss those things I may have left out. So we'll conclude now. We'll do a Audu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim.